Hey everybody, welcome to Reaction Reviews. Today we are taking a look at the first 11 trailers or teasers that came out for Star Trek Strange New Worlds. Now this is a new series coming out, a new Star Trek series that is going to be airing on Paramount Plus beginning on May 5th. So it'll be streaming. I don't know whether they'll be dropping a bunch of episodes all at once or if it'll be spread out across time. I imagine it'll probably be spread out because they're already talking about a season 2. So it's called Star Trek Strange New Worlds, and I haven't heard much about it at all other than it's supposed to be more episodic, kind of like the old original series used to be, rather than focusing on long drawn-out stories or, sort of progressing stories where you have to follow it week by week. This will be more like you tune in one week, and if you miss the next week, you won't really miss too much that you wouldn't be able to follow the week after. So I really know next to nothing about this, but they have dropped 11 teasers and trailers for this so far. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look at them, and we're going to react to them together here. And here we go. Okay, looks like an ice planet or snow. Old-fashioned communicator.
Chris,
Called him Chris. Is that
I need you back, Captain.
Pike? Doesn't look like Pike. That's cool.
No matter how many galaxies swirl.
Production value looks good.
No matter what the mathematical probabilities or the number of times we say, we are not alone in the universe. Our first visit from the stars.
Okay, that looks familiar. Kind of reminds me of the original
science fiction. Until one day, it isn't.
I like that. Everything is sci-fi until it becomes science. That's a good line there. I'm paraphrasing, but everything is science fiction until it becomes science. And just from a personal note, looking back at the history of science and technology and how it relates to Star Trek and other sci-fi movies, TV shows, and series and stuff like that, is a friend of mine once told me that if you see something in a science fiction movie, chances are that the government has already had that technology in existence and working for at least the last decade and possibly more. And so when you see some of this technology on like Star Trek and stuff like that in the 70s, and then moving forward as it advances on and on, we see today like cell phones mimicking the communicators and other technology as it advances mimics that which we saw in sci-fi. And so it's like a question of which came first, the chicken or the egg. Did the science fiction inspire the technology, or was the technology already in existence and some of the people in production maybe had an inside tip or had some inside information and is aware of some of the technology? We do know that science fiction writers, TV producers and stuff like that, and for movies, they do have technological advisors that come and tell them, what what they're writing is scientifically valid or not, according to the latest estimates and theories. And you see that all the time in the credits. They'll credit people who gave them scientific advice. Same thing with doctors, medical advice on the medical TV series, and like when you see the police dramas and stuff like that, they have advisors from experts that tell them, what kind of technology there is and how it works and stuff like that. So that's just a side note I thought of when it talked about there that science fiction is science fiction until it becomes science. Just as a side note, that made me think of that. The question of which came first, the chicken or the egg? Which came first? The science already existed, or the fantasy and the sci-fi inspired the technology in the future? Who knows? Anyway, comment down below what you think of that. Let's move on to the next clip. This one is, let's see. That one was called Where No Man Has Gone Before. This next one is a teaser, and it is called Uhura. So it looks like Uhura might be in this. Interesting. Oh, yeah, but by the way, before we do that, it looked like that might be Captain Pike. If it is, then we're going back to before the original series. So that'll be interesting. We did see the old-fashioned communicators, so I'm saying there's a pretty good chance we're going back to before TOS. So that opens up a whole new can of worms just from my perspective. I don't like doing that a lot, especially when it's real close to like the previous series, especially if you have like cameos of characters that have already been in existence. Then you have to have other actors play them. It worked out in the movies because they set it up as a separate timeline, a separate universe. There's only so many times you can do that. Say this is set in a different universe. It's not the same universe as the one that we saw before. Therefore, the actors are going to be different. The story's going to be different. Their history's going to be different. I hope they don't take that tack again with this, because then it just kind of cheapens it after you do it so many times. It works once, but then when you start using that as a crutch, as an excuse to go back and rewrite new stories with the same characters but different actors, I think the safest bet with these types of series where you continue to a new generation, etc., is if you're going to have carryover with characters from previous installments where we've seen them before, instead of doing recasting, unless it's like a big gap, if it's like somebody that we saw as 80 years old, and then we see them as 10 years old, as we did in Star Wars with the prequels. That made sense. That was okay, because you could imagine them growing up into being those new characters. But if it's like right back to back with Captain Pike's era, that crossed over with Captain Kirk's with the Enterprise. So if we're going to see characters come back like Uhura, and if Captain Pike's there, Spock was on Captain Pike's crew, and so we may see Spock again, and that'll mean a brand new recasting of Spock again. And I hate to see that, because I think it cheapens the series when you have so many actors playing the same character, unless, like I said, there's a big gap in between. When you have an actor playing Spock at 20 years old, and you have another actor playing him at 22 years old, that's just one of my pet peeves. I don't like it. But anyway, that's my personal thing. Now that I've got that out of the way, let's move on to our next teaser. This one, again, is called Uhura. And here we go.
Welcome aboard, everyone. Cadet Uhura, very happy to have you aboard.
Glad to be here.
Cadet's gonna be pretty impressive to make.
I don't think it looks enough like her. Doesn't look like the
37.
Nicole Nichols.
What's he saying?
Universal Translator isn't processing it. Uhura, do something. That's not how linguistics works.
Just thought it would be foolish to have an officer like you.
Oh, man. I don't know if I like that or not.
Where I'll end up. I guess I'm still searching.
Okay. That line, that's not how linguistics works. I wonder if that's intentional throwback to Star Wars with the sequels, where Han Solo had that line. That's not how the Force works. But anyway, I don't know how I feel about that, if it feels forced or not. No pun intended. But anyway, with that being Uhura, I don't think she looks enough like Nichelle Nichols. I'm not sure how you pronounce her first name, excuse me. But anyway, That's just my own pet peeve. Uh, I want, if you're doing a recasting, it's got to be very, very, very close. So let's move on. Next one is called Lon, L-A''A''N. And here we go.
Captain Pike, Lieutenant Loran Noonien Singh, Chief of Security.
Lon
Welcome back
Noonien
and welcome
Singh.
aboard, everyone.
When I was a kid, I was the only one to survive. I know what it feels like to be alone.
Wait a minute.
You are.
They're
Scared.
changing the history again.
I can't just keep running. That's just who I am.
I'm not a fan of this one. Lon Noonien Singh. Who is this? Is this? It's obviously a descendant or a relative of Khan. But then again, Khan was trapped in hibernation until Kirk found him and set the crew free, and then stranded them on, I forget the name of the planet now, and they were there until Star Trek II, The Wrath of Khan, in the original universe. And so in that history, if he had a daughter, who I'm assuming this is, or some kind of descendant, they didn't get off that planet until long after Kirk found them. And before that, they were frozen for hundreds of years, since the 1990s, I think it was, that they established in the original series. So there's no way that Khan could have a descendant or a relative in Starfleet during the time where you had Captain Pike commanding a ship. It just doesn't work. So I don't like that. They're going to have to come up with some kind of explanation for that. But then again, I remember when Star Trek Discovery came out, and before they even aired the first episode, they were showing teasers of the Klingons, and everybody was going crazy about how they didn't look like Klingons. I gave them the benefit of the doubt because I foresaw that this was going to be a different Klingons from like a mirror universe or something like that, and it made sense to me if that's the direction they took, and sure enough, they did. That was the whole premise of the first season, is them traveling to an alternate universe, and then season 2 picked up where that left off. So, being as there have not been any episodes released yet, and all I've seen so far is this trailer and then these couple clips, I'm going to reserve judgment. But my instinct tells me that they're playing with this too much. I know they went back and redid for the movies Khan's history in the second universe, but then that's with different actors. That even went back to let's see, when Kirk was born. So technically, that's how they explain that Khan was able to be freed from the I want to say carbonite, but I'm in the wrong franchise. Freed from the hibernation sleep before Kirk and Spock and the others met him. But that was a different set of actors, and so I don't know if this is going to be in that same universe. If it is, then I can see how that could happen. But still, for her to be old enough to be in Starfleet at a time when a teenage Kirk is just joining Starfleet, or has just been in a very short period of time, no, I guess that could happen. I guess that could work. Because they, if it was early enough when that happened in the new parallel universe, then he could have had a child that became part of Starfleet. So the only way I can see him getting by with this is if they do set this series in the new universe that goes parallel with the movies. Okay, now let's go on back to the next one, and this one is called Ortega's.
Erica, take us closer, please.
How close do you want to get? First date or third date?
Blind date.
Proceeding with caution, sir.
Okay, so this is the pilot. Got the helm.
We have incoming.
You know how you used to brag you're going to be the best pilot ever to graduate the academy?
What's your point, sir?
Time to prove it, Lieutenant.
Now we're talking.
Okay. Okay, so now we've got an introduction to another new crew member, another new character in the Star Trek universe. Okay, I did like that line that they had there at the beginning where he said about, is this like a first date or a third date? And he said blind date. And so, taking it cautiously. That's a nice little reference there to dating, to use that as a metaphor for, approaching a new alien life form. Don't know enough about the character there to really say thumbs up or thumbs down on that one yet. These are just brief clips, brief teasers, but I did like that line. Let's move on to the next one. This one is called Himmer.